What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis,
Scoop.
Sam Claiborne,
Woo.
and Tina Amini.
Scoop, hi.
And we have a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about the Stadia launch lineup, Google Stadia. We're going to talk about some new arcade game news that's hot off the presses this morning. What, you ready for this, Sam?
No, because I don't know it yet.
I know, but you better be ready for it.
It's probably Splatterhouse something.
It's not Splatterhouse, unfortunately. Sorry to disappoint everybody. But first, let's talk about what might be my favorite game of the whole year. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I haven't walked it back.
He came in 3 days ago and said Game of the Year.
Yeah,
No, I
but
said it
formally
might
he hasn't
be.
finished it, so he
That's
has to
it.
say might be.
Yeah, I have not
He's being a
finished the
good
game yet,
journalist.
but I've played it for about a week now, and whew, I love it.
You know why Damon likes this game? Because it's
Because
a
it's
lot
Star
like Tomb
Wars.
Raider.
It is a lot like Tomb Raider.
It's a little Tomb Raider, it's a little Uncharted, and then apparently a little Dark Souls, but I wouldn't know.
Will you like kneel and save at points? So
Yeah,
that's really
and
just
enemies
it.
respawn.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
such it. Yeah.
So it is very Tomb Raider-y,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it controls like more like an action game, which looks kind of goofy over the shoulder when you're watching somebody play because they're like bouncing around like an idiot. But it makes sense for a Jedi to be doing that. But I also
bounce around like an
it's
idiot?
also
I
just
feel personally
more fun.
attacked because the only time you've watched you've watched other people play it, maybe.
Yeah, well,
E3
you were
demo?
mainly doing combat at the E3 demo.
Yeah,
Were you jumping around like an idiot?
probably.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam and Tina, you're both playing it.
Yes.
Yeah. Justin hasn't played it yet.
No,
but
I'm really
we'll tell you-
excited to. I'm
we'll
so
tell you all
excited
about
to
it.
hear how RPG-like it is.
I
We were just
wouldn't
talking about this.
Say it's very RPG.
I just,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't mean to derail.
Sure.
What I had heard was that it has a really big, really involved skill tree, which I think
It
a
has-
lot of people
I mean,
didn't know.
It has the skill tree that's pretty much every game released.
Yeah. Okay.
these
It's like
days
the-
has.
We
it's
can
like-
move on.
It's like sub Assassin's Creed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's less of an RPG than Assassin's Creed has
Yes.
become.
That's good. So it's like everything is RPG-like in some way. So
Yeah.
it falls on the RPG scale.
It does.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Got
These
it.
are the distinctions we need to make before 20 questions.
Yeah, is this an RPG, Damon?
No, I would not say.
But you
Star
could
Wars
say it
Jedi
has
Fallen
RPG
Order.
elements.
Yeah, yes.
Well, that's one of the greatest things about it. It has all of these like little elements of different games and different genres, and it kind of comes together in a really
Yeah.
cool, cohesive way.
So excited it turned out great.
Yeah.
We're actually recording this before our review goes up. Dan is handling the review. I don't know what score he's going to come down on, but I know he's very, very high on it.
Yeah, he's bullish on
Yeah,
it.
really good.
One thing I like about the combat so far has been frustrating, although I know you solved it when we were at the E3 demo and you got through a bunch of the tough stuff. But right now it's like I'll have a group of enemies around me and it's actually like tough enough that I'm dying a lot. So I've had moments in Batman Arkham Asylum like that. But what I like about it is that while I'm doing that, you are constantly deflecting shots being shot at you from
Yeah.
far away. And
So
that feels
satisfying.
really good.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
And I know it's because like the lasers are slower than bullets, which is like the stupidest thing. You can like see like me, a human, can see the lasers coming at
Here
me,
it
and I'm
comes.
just like, yeah. And I feel like really cool, like like a Jedi doing it. But if that was really how lasers work, then I could probably do that.
They're just slowing
That's
it
a good
down for
point.
the human you, but the Jedi you in the game actually sees it much
You think
faster.
the whole game's running
Yeah.
at
He
Jedi
just-
speed?
they're
You
just-
can slow things
yeah,
down.
exactly. They're
How
just showing
fascinating.
you.
What a great
That's a
game
really good
design challenge. Where like we have to make these feel like lasers, but be slow
Yeah.
enough to deflect.
Yeah.
Well, the other game design challenge too is you have a lightsaber that should be able to
sure.
cut through
Yeah.
most anything, but there's like really big pots that you
Yeah.
can't break into. But other ones,
don't
if you
close
just walk
doors.
into them,
The
they
pots
break.
are okay.
No, the really big ones you can't.
Oh yeah, well you can't cut through any walls in the game either,
Yeah.
Or
which would be
doors,
really
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always like on the other side of like 3 like metal bars, like
Yeah.
looking through, and it's like and it has
But
like
they let you
actually
cut some.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They have you like an indication like later you'll be able to get through here, like Metroid, But they're just metal bars. You gotta
Yeah.
saber. But you are in Jedi Temple, so maybe it's anti-Jedi stuff.
good
Yeah,
point.
that's
so
the reason.
kids,
Exactly.
So the kids don't mess
we
it up.
figured it out.
It's made from some metal. What's the Mandalorian's metal armor made out of?
I don't know. I just watched a whole episode about it. I can't tell you.
I love hearing how Metroidvania-y it is, or Metroid-like it is.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
we say on this
Prime
show.
specifically.
It's more like Metroid Prime, which the developers were upfront about that.
I love
all
how
along.
there's these multiple planets that are all way more intricate and non-linear and sort of loopy pathways than people
Yep.
kind of expected. That's so unexpected and cool.
So Metroid Prime was famous for this big 3D map that you could kind of like see where you needed to go, or you hadn't been yet, and it's really good, and it was like feels like super futuristic and stuff. This game has that map, but I don't know if I'm like if it's just like because it's less boxy and like more organic. It's so hard to use for me right now. But you said you wrapped your mind.
I think the
around it.
map has a learning curve.
Yeah.
It was confusing to me at first, but now I'm used to it, and I know. if there's something on the map that I want to get to, I can usually get to it.
And you can. I love how the robot BD1.
Yeah. BD1.
BD1. Droid projects the map in real time. It's like in Dead Space when you have like your health pack is just like lights on your armor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in this game where like BD's doing the work, or like BD's the flashlight. You know,
That's
I love
true.
that.
And that's also he's also like your health bar on your back.
Yes, exactly. It's so cool.
Like Dead Space did back in the day. And also a tip: since BD1 is projecting your map in real time, it doesn't pause the game. You can still be attacked while you're looking at the map.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So just a little
Learn
pro
that
tip
the
there.
hard way.
Okay. So if there's giant rats around,
Yeah.
don't look at your
Run
map.
for your life.
Is your I don't want any story spoilers, but like
The rats kill you.
is your killer rat?
Viciously.
Yeah, it's a big threat to a Jedi. Everybody knows that. Yeah. Is your character cool?
I think so. He's like likable. It's like
He's
he's
a-
not like super like.
I think every other character is better.
I mean, he's like a pretty vanilla hero, but it doesn't bother me.
I will say this: there
I
are
like him.
some really funny moments. I forget what it was. What was one of the early comments? Oh, because he's
trash, but not
Yeah, yeah,
something
exactly. Like they're like, no trash is allowed here or something, and he makes a joke about how he's actually trash.
Oh.
So there's like these little funny, cute, like goofy moments
He
that
just seemed-
make
that's-
him more likable.
That's another thing that I've heard just around the office is that that doesn't come through in the trailers at all. It just seems like incredibly generic, and I've heard like, oh, this game has better writing and dialogue than I expected.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what's
yeah.
surprising to me, and this is not a spoiler, he's just really young. So it's like all the characters that are interesting around him are adults, and he just doesn't know a lot and doesn't do a lot because he's like a teenager. So I think they didn't do a good job of establishing that outside the game. But now that I'm in the game, I'm like, oh, he's just
Yeah.
he's just a kid.
Yeah.
I've come to a decision. I'm gonna play it.
That's good.
Nice.
I think you're going to be happy with
It's
with
the
that
first.
choice.
I've been joking on Scoop for weeks about how I don't play anything but Apple Arcade. But that's just I wasn't interested in Call of Duty and wasn't interested in Death Stranding. So this is the one.
This is the one.
me.
Yeah.
But even if you don't like him, BD1's the main character. I mean, like BD's in every scene,
Well,
steals every scene.
yeah.
Yes.
I was
You
saying,
can also like hit down on the D-pad, to just make him like beep boop at you.
any interactions.
It's
Sometimes
really cute.
he'll do a
It's
little
like,
dance.
how you doing, BD1?
Or he'll like
It's like, beep,
Scrabble.
Yeah.
There's a
I
lot
know,
of
right?
things. There's a lot of things that
Yeah.
BD does, and BD's cat sized, so it's like that's very different for the Star Wars universe. So like BD can like just get off your back and just run away, and like if you get too far away, like get over here and stuff like that. It's really cute and just like really nimble and fast. And then I love how just in every cutscene, BD's looking, and there's always a reaction for every single thing. Perfect droid companion.
Yep.
When you remind me when this is set in Star Wars lore?
After Revenge of the Sith.
There's a lot of
After
good,
Order 66.
That's like Mandalorian too, right? Like
Yeah, the
fairly
Jedi.
similar.
I've been hunted.
I thought
No,
Mandalorian's after
Mandalorian's
Return of the
after
Jedi.
Jedi.
Yeah, my mistake. Yeah, there's these two gaps in Star Wars lore, right? Like,
Yeah. The villain is really cool. The main villain is awesome. The second sister.
sister.
Yeah. I really like her. It's true. There's a lot has been talked about how there's no dismemberment of the stormtroopers.
Whatever.
I still think the combat feels good, and they're very often throwing enemies at you that you can dismember, droids and creatures.
One thing you do to the stormtroopers and other things is that sometimes your lightsaber just like leaves like a molten trail, and it looks really cool. You like see
Yeah.
up the leg of like a stormtroper. It looks painful.
You
even
could
though his
just
leg is not
imagine
gone.
they're like severed on the inside, and
Yeah.
the suit is just
yeah,
covering
maybe the
it.
suit is just holding them
Yeah.
together.
the
They
dismemberment.
got soldered in the process. That's what happened.
gross.
None of that stuff bothers me. Like, it's Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a family. I know the
is.
game's not rated E, but
It is
like,
ultimately a family franchise.
But did you know that every animal this is not a joke. Every animal in the game you can just completely cut in half.
Yeah.
It's just the anthropomorphic characters do not get severed.
I mean, ultimately,
could,
it doesn't matter
like,
because no one
brutally
dies
cut in
either.
half.
Because every time you save, everybody respawns.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah,
actually no
that's true.
death in Star Wars Jedi Fallen
That's
Order.
true. I cut an R2 unit in half, straight down.
Did you really?
Straight
How
down the
could
middle.
you?
Droids too, huh?
Straight down the middle.
Aw, what'd he do to you?
He was about to alert the enemies to my presence.
Oh, well, that's fair then.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's an evil R2.
I also really like the exploration. Like it shows you a percentage of the planet that you've managed to explore, and you don't have to explore all of it. It's just you'll get more chests and you'll get more like little
Love it.
story elements that give you XP.
Yeah.
So you can like level up faster if you go that way. And
Yeah.
there is the map, which is super confusing, and I imagine we'll wrap our heads around it at some point.
Yeah,
but
I think it's a learning curve.
yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. But even without, like, I don't mind not using the map and just going towards where my instincts tell me to go, because I can see like that looks like a dead end. I'll like investigate that first, then I'll go down this other path that I've already identified, and I love that feeling.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like a structured game, which feels good. Like it's not normally structured. So it's like the passages and the ways you get around are completely different than other games. And I think
although you are going planet to planet, like Damon, you're a little bit further than
the story
us.
beats are like, will lead you to the next planet
Right.
usually.
Does that switch up at any point? You're pretty much going ship, planet, explore, ship, planet,
You return
explore.
to planets, which
Yeah.
is a good way to get you to do more exploration into
Right.
areas that you missed out on the first.
Right.
That's so great. I'm
like your
so
powers that
glad
you
it
get.
turned out good. It
Yeah.
sounds very much like a Justin
Yeah.
game. And I guess maybe we shouldn't have been surprised because that team, Respawn.
Respawn,
Yeah.
They haven't made a bad game yet.
Well,
right?
yeah, like Titanfall 2 had this amazing, one of the best shooter campaigns ever.
Yeah.
And then Apex turned out really great. So, maybe it shouldn't have been a surprise, but they're also just really stretching themselves with this product. So.
It's too much Star Wars baggage, is what it was, and then
that true?
maybe
And then
not
there's-
the best trailers, honestly.
And then
I agree,
there's
like, the game
EA.
didn't
Like
look-
people are
Yes,
suspicious of
yes.
EA, right?
And also,
EA
nobody
and Star
wants
Wars
to
fans,
like an
that's a
EA
good point.
game. Yeah,
Yeah, nobody wants to
and
like
EA with
or
Star Wars.
Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a wow. That's so sad.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing that's like this strikes me as the same as a game like God of War or Spider-Man, where like part of why I'm so excited about it is like we're probably like in 3 years there'll be a Fallen Order 2, right? Like how can they
Hope
even
so.
build on this and evolve
EA
it?
might
Like,
not be making it.
good if they don't get off their butt and just get going. Man, how
their
many
10
years?
years is
I was
up.
gonna say, how many years are they into their 10 years?
I forget. I think it's like I think it started in 2013.
But point being, something that comes out, the first entry in something that's confident and awesome from the start, like, not to jump ahead or not enjoy what's right in front of you, but then it's just exciting to understand that, like, oh, well, maybe they're going to continue improving on this down the line.
like maybe Star Wars games have a good future after all, and not this like doomed, devastating one.
Speaking of doomed, devastated things, the Jedi are, and like,
Yeah.
there's no way this character is going to survive. That's the whole plot of Star Wars. They're all gone.
That's why I asked in
Yeah.
the lore. Like, I don't really care that much about Star Wars lore. Just like watch the content, enjoy it. But like, you mentioned a cat-like droid. It's like, where'd they go? Why are we stuck with gonk droids?
Because we've seen the ones later. Yeah,
They're hiding. They decided we don't deserve them.
Yeah.
they're just so little.
Yeah,
It is kind of like the droids, I think, that fix the pod racers, but those are earlier on.
What about the ones on the Death Star? The ones that go meh, 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 meh.
the one that's just like a little toaster on the ground.
It's clearly a remote control car with a toaster on it.
But they're cat size.
Anyway, I'm super into Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Like I said, might be my game of the year. We'll see. When I expect I'll finish it by the time we record next week's episode. But Sam and Tina, you are also both enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait to finish it.
It's really, really good. Justin's going to check it out. We got to move on, though. Let's move on. It's one of 2 music tracks in Back to the Future on NES.
There's just two?
Just 2. This one and a really fast version of Johnny Be Good.
Really?
That's it. Yeah.
Wow. Where we're going.
Really milking it.
We don't need music.
Okay, so less than 10 days before the launch of Google Stadia, they finally revealed the launch day lineup of games. 12 games, a quarter of which are Tomb Raider games, I believe.
Yep.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So there's some like really good games in here, but it's hardly anything new.
Yeah.
There's one exclusive that's a small indie game, and that's about it. So anyway, the list is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Destiny 2, which is actually free to the founders members, Guilt, which is GYLT, that's the Tequila Works indie game, Just Dance 2020, Kine, another platformer or another puzzle game, Mortal Kombat 11, Red Dead Redemption 2, Samurai Showdown, the new one, Thumper, and then the modern Tomb Raider trilogy, Tomb Raider, Rise of, and Shadow of. Did
you watch a trailer for Guilt? It's like it's like little kids, like, really spooky, like kind of horror exploration thing, but it has like a very, I'm not using this pejoratively, European art style. So it's like, it might not be for everybody, like the art style. I think it looks terrible.
Oh, okay.
But the game looks fun. It's just like the characters just look like,
Yeah.
Wallace and Gromit or something.
So it's interesting. It's like there's some like great, phenomenal even games in there, but they're all older games.
Yeah.
Nothing new.
Did you notice like Mortal Kombat and Destiny are like 2 pretty intense games that have to run really well.
Yeah, especially Mortal
online.
Kombat, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you could play even offline doesn't even exist for that game now. So it's like, it's got to work really well.
Yeah, it feels more like a testing ground, and also just sort of prestige plays like Red Dead Redemption 2. That's pretty fancy to
That's
have on
really
Stadia.
fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's more opening up the door for what Google could do with a lot of publishers, developers that they have these clear relationships with. But yeah, I mean, everyone who's going to play those games has probably already played those games, I imagine.
Yeah, Red Dead 2 will be an interesting case because if Stadia works the way they promise it will, you'll be able to experience that on the highest end PC settings.
Yeah, like
without
it
a
will be the
high-end
best
PC.
looking version of Red Dead
on your
2.
phone.
Yeah,
Like
so
on
we'll
your-
see.
And I wonder if it is the version on PC technically, because that has different content in it.
Oh yeah.
It
There's
must
like
be.
extra
I
maps
think
and
it
stuff.
must
It'd be
be,
cool to know that.
Yeah. But of course, this, the only people that are going to be using Stadia this holiday season are the people that pre-purchased the Founders bundle, or there's a second bundle that they announced a few months ago. So it's like this. I still maintain that the main audience for Google Stadia will be the people that sign up for the free option. Right?
Yes.
And then they'll be able to access these games without paying for an expensive console. And that's coming later.
Very little reason to be buying a bundle and paying a monthly subscription fee and paying $60 for Assassin's Creed Odyssey in fall 2019.
Yeah, that's another important point to keep in mind. You also have to buy the games.
It is not, and I know we've said this before, but it's still such a common misconception. This is not Netflix for games. You have to buy the games.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I wonder why it isn't the fall swath of games. Like there's just Jedi and stuff like that would have been
I know.
a natural fit there.
Even like Borderlands 3 isn't here at launch.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would make sense if this were a subscription service.
Yeah.
It would make sense to hold them back. But since they're charging $60, why wouldn't EA not want their $60 titles on Stadia?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to put a bad, maybe they want to see does the tech work and they don't want to present the games in a bad light.
Yeah, and these are just the games that are available on launch day. There's supposed to be more coming before the end of the year.
Well, I wanted to really know the games. Like I don't care so much about consoles and tech and stuff like that. I just want to know what games are in it. And unfortunately, I played most of these games, so not a whole lot of reason for me to check this out.
I know, yeah.
It is sort of alarming too that we didn't know the launch lineup until
days
days before.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little concerning. Like, how hot is this coming? Like, how on top of the launch are they?
Yeah.
I'm really interested about Red Dead. Like when we get this hooked up in the office and can look at it, that's the game that I think I'm most interested in seeing.
Yeah, that and Assassin's Creed for me.
Assassin's Creed.
Games that are a little bit more animation heavy, and Red Dead, particularly at launch, was criticized for being sluggish, but like that may work in Stadia's favor, whereas a game like Mortal Kombat 11 may introduce latency that makes it feel inferior to a more traditional version of it. Whereas I think something like Assassin's Creed or Red Dead could perform really, could be a lot more positive experience.
Sure.
We'll see Red Dead on PC. You can see bear claw marks and trees. So obviously it's the better experience.
Yeah,
Obviously.
for sure.
Yes.
Let's hear from one of our listeners that is excited for Stadia. This is Garrett from Dublin, Ireland, but he now lives in Cleveland, Ohio. Says, I've been listening to the show since 2008.
Whoa.
I guess it's fair to say that I enjoy the show. To be honest, I feel like we're pals. I know that most of you guys aren't enthusiastic about Stadia, aren't really sure who it's for. I thought I might give you my perspective as someone who is excited for the service. I'm a 39-year-old father of a 1-year-old with another baby on the way.
Congrats.
I love games. Didn't waste any time on the second one. I love games, and my first console was an Atari 2600 that I got for Christmas in 1986. Oof.
That's late.
Yeah. That was the year that the NES was released widely, and he got an Atari 2600.
The bargain bins were real good that year about that for Atari games. You probably bought like 600 games that fall.
I've had a console every generation, but I passed on the PS4 and Xbox One because these days I don't get to game enough to really justify the cost of a new console. I do have a Switch because I love Nintendo. I can use it in handheld mode while my wife watches reality TV. However, there are AAA games that I want to play that aren't available to me, obviously. If Stadia works as advertised, it could be the perfect solution for me. I can play the 1 or 2 AAA games like Cyberpunk that I'm excited for, and have time for each year without paying for expensive hardware that gathers dust most of the time. I can also play on multiple screens so I don't have to commandeer the TV. I haven't traded in a game in years, rarely go back to them after I've finished them, so I've come to look at games as something that I pay to play and experience rather than a disc that I purchase and own. For me, the fact that I won't own my games on Stadia isn't an issue. So maybe I am the person Stadia is aimed at. I want to play games in the way that is most convenient for me, and I'm not concerned about building a game collection. Those are my thoughts. Thanks for many years of top quality content and coverage. Keep it up. I'll keep listening.
It was an okay Irish accent.
That
Just
was-
okay. It was a really good Ohio accent.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
But,
A Midwestern accent. Does that make sense?
yeah, but aren't there other services that do that?
Like what?
Just the services you can subscribe to on Xbox or PlayStation?
But you still have to buy an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying
He
to
doesn't want to
circumvent.
commit to one of the
But
consoles.
how much is that cheap Xbox?
$150.
Oh, yeah. So the Black Friday deal for the Xbox One SAD edition is actually pretty great.
But it's not just the SAD, it's any Xbox One S.
But I think it's only the SAD that gets that low to 150.
They're all
They're saying
150.
sad over and over again.
But regardless, there's actually a really baller ass PS4 bundle that comes with God of War, Horizon, and The Last of Us for $200.
Okay.
Are you guys trying to sell us consoles now?
Well, no, I mean,
what's it going to take to get you into this console?
the cheaper
I think I'll stick with Stadia.
the cheaper these consoles get, the harder time Stadia has justifying its existence.
That's totally true, especially with the streaming services.
That's true.
And there's a monthly fee, of course, associated.
But I want to point out that Xbox One S deal is cheaper than a Nintendo Switch Lite.
Much cheaper. It's
crazy.
I've been really positive on Stadia on Scoop in the past, and I actually agree with Garrett. Where I also don't particularly care about building a game library anymore, and you're just paying to experience the art that someone made. So it's like I understand that perspective a lot. I think its launch lineup is underwhelming, and I think the economics of the service, I'm really thrown off by having to buy the games at the same price as if you just buy the game.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I think it's a mistake.
Well,
I can't wait to hear how the internet situation is in Ohio. If you're in a big city, I'm sure it'll be fine. And if you're living a little bit in the countryside, really worried for you.
Just to go back to the console example, let's say you don't want to buy a console, you only want a Stadia. You still have to buy a controller, which is not cheap. Yeah. So at that point, if you include the cost of the controller and the cost of the $150 Xbox One S or the $200 PS4 that comes with really desirable games, that's already a $40, $50, $60 controller.
Yeah. And that's half the price of the Xbox One deal, of the Xbox One S. So it's
Yeah. But I also think, there's going to be next-gen consoles next year. Mm-hmm. Stadia will run those next-gen games. So, maybe it stacks up super favorably when you can play some really, really gorgeous next-gen game that costs $500 on, you have to buy a $500 box, or you can do it on Stadia. Then suddenly it all flips on its head. But this fall, I think it's a really challenging proposition.
Yeah, I think so too.
Also dependent on how windowed some of those releases are. Are they the same date as they come out on consoles, et cetera?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there's a really, really high profile third party game that's on Stadia the same day as PS5 and the next Xbox, then suddenly that's very attractive.
Yeah. All right, Stadia is out November 19th, and we will have a review on IGN. Now it's time for an important update. I was playing Final Fantasy II recently, and
American Final Fantasy
2 or 4?
The American 2 released as Final Fantasy 2. And much to my surprise, you can proceed through dialogue with the D-pad in that game.
Ooh.
Just like we were talking about a few weeks ago, the guy wrote in, he was concerned playing dialogue-heavy games and snacking while gaming. It's hard to do both because when you're pressing the X button or the A button to proceed. I just want to point out, Final Fantasy II figured that out.
This wasn't in the show notes.
A long time ago. That's right, because if it had been, you would have cut it.
It's true.
So whoever that was, check out Final Fantasy II.
Please email gamescoop@ign.com with more games that use the D-pad to advance dialogue.
So topical.
Yeah. How far into the 80-hour Final Fantasy II did you get?
An hour. Because, I've got a lot of games on that.
So Kane did some jumps. There was the airship sequence.
It opens up with an airship sequence, Okay, there is interesting arcade news today. Taito, so first of all, some context. There's an arcade convention happening in Florida this week where arcade manufacturers reveal new games. Why is that so funny?
I thought you were going to explain what some context, arcade games.
Taito unveiled a new game called Gun Arena, and it's like a shooting gallery game,
like a light gun game.
Nope, airsoft pellets.
What?
It uses real airsoft guns that fire airsoft pellets.
What do you shoot them at?
At the screen.
What?
It's a special type of screen that can absorb the impact of these airsoft pellets, basically similar to a BB gun, but they're like rubber bullets, right?
Are you sure you didn't dream this,
At a
buddy?
This is real. So imagine
Damon.
This is going to be in an arcade. People shooting airsoft pellets.
What could possibly go wrong?
There's a safety feature. There's a sensor on the gun. It will only fire if it's aimed at the screen.
What kind of screen is this?
And what's the point? In what world
You're
is
shooting
that
a real projectile.
So what?
So you can really be immersed in it.
It feels more like you're shooting a real gun or you're shooting a real projectile at this thing on the
airsoft.
screen.
You guys have shot these where you either have to pump them really hard, do a single pump, or sometimes you have to do other things with the back of it. Do you think you have to do all that?
These are pistols.
They're pistols.
Yeah.
But there's already light gun games that had recoil built into the hardware.
Yeah, that's true.
What's that game? What's that arcade game that it shoots air out and it actually detects? We played it at a California Extreme.
Is it an old one?
Was it the turkey shoot one where feathers came up?
Oh yes, that's what it was. That's what I'm thinking of.
Is it called Turkey Shoot?
Yeah, it's called turkey shoot.
Cool.
That was one question.
So
Got
why
it in one question.
I gave you a lot of context.
what's their what's the pitch, the elevator pitch for why this is a thing that
shoot a real airsoft gun in this arcade game. I think a lot of people want to do it.
What kind of screen do you shoot that absorbs bullets?
Yeah.
It must Taito.
Bulletproof.
Can I get a vest made out of this material?
Yeah, maybe you'll need to
Just
wear
Kevlar.
it. So what?
So it's maybe
There's
gel in front of a screen that's further back or something?
Yeah.
It's
Are
something.
we
Eventually
worried about
just
the
fill up
bounce
with
back?
bullets?
Is it going to ricochet back
Yes.
at you?
Very. I'm worried.
How far do you stand from the screen?
Many
I need more
concerns.
details.
But yeah,
Does
check these out.
the
What
gun
if-
have to be refilled?
I would imagine so. You probably play until you're out of bullets, and
They
that's
just
it.
melt that gel full of bullets down at the end of the day. I wonder if you can if somebody tossed a coin right in front of when
Would
you
it
were
detect-
shooting,
Yeah.
it could ricochet and blind somebody.
That's what I was.
That's what you're most worried
thinking.
about?
No,
Good, 'cause
even though there's a safety feature, what's to stop a kid from wandering in front of you or something? Even if
Here's
it's
the
paying
thing:
at the
there's
point of the
nothing to
screen?
stop a kid from just wandering around with a pellet gun shooting you anyway.
That's true. That's true.
There's just nothing.
This brought back
Hopefully
memories.
parents.
I think many
Hopefully.
many little boys have this memory. Probably some girls too, but mostly boys have an experience of an older cousin or brother or someone shooting them with a BB gun.
Yeah, I had a BB gun, but I was never shot.
Well,
with
if you
one.
get shot by a BB gun, it doesn't go in your skin. You have to go to the
and
hospital.
then,
Yeah,
well,
could
no,
be
then the
bad.
BB is just in your body for a couple years until
Stop
it comes
describing
out.
Death Stranding.
That was what I had a stepbrother who shot me with a BB gun, and then that
BB was in you?
It was in my leg for a while.
Wow.
Is that just
Is
me?
it still in there? Did you get it removed?
No, it came out eventually.
Just of its own volition?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
It just worked
confused.
its way up to his eyeball.
Just spit
and he
out.
cried it out.
If it's in there, if it doesn't come out right away, how does it
Yeah, it
eventually come out?
I don't remember.
Should we rush you to the hospital?
No, it's
Is there still a BB in your leg?
no.
Maybe you walked by a strong magnet one day and it's like, ding! And you're like, oh, problem solved.
I feel like half my friends in school had a BB under their skin.
This is Iowa. This is Iowa childhood.
Is it that different in Kansas?
You wouldn't think so. I had a BB gun, but my parents were very strict about how I could use it.
I would have
when,
never been allowed to have a BB gun, but my bad kid neighbor had one, and he would. I've never been shot by a BB gun. He would take it and he would fill the barrel with BBs, and he'd be like, "Now it's a shotgun," and then they shoot the other BB, would project the other ones out,
Oh my
and a giant spray of death.
See, this is why you can't trust kids with pellet guns. This
That's
is
what
a
I'm talking
terrible
about.
idea.
Yeah.
So you were never shot with one, but almost.
No, he was shooting.
Could have been.
He was shooting other things. I mean, I'm saying he would never
Could have ricocheted.
turned it on me
All right.
because we had an understanding. It could have ricocheted.
Gun Arena from Taito. Look for it in a Dave
One
and Buster's
coin flip.
near
One
you.
coin flip away from blindness.
From death.
Let's check in with the listeners.
Already?
I was waiting for someone to say, "Hey, listeners."
I said
I was
already
waiting
this
for
time.
Justin.
I'm just still thinking about someone somewhere made the decision. You know what kids need? A more realistic gun game. They're not
In
realistic enough.
2019.
It needs to actually shoot something out of the barrel.
This is Billy Milby. He emailed us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like you can. And he says, what do you think will happen 15 years from now with legacy game patches for current games?
It's the last thing you're going to be worrying about 15 years from now.
It's going to be the apocalypse.
I bought some old James Bond games on PS3 for collector's reasons, and all of them had patches to download. I was surprised they were available to download.
Interesting.
I know game preservation is a hot topic, and with how game patches now are often much more important than 10 years ago, it worries me about when the servers for patches go offline in X number of years.
Yeah, it's a really good question.
Where are you going to find fresh water?
Yeah.
The year is 2028. No, 2033.
Call it 2035.
Yeah, the year is 2035.
Everything is RoboCop.
You can't play your PlayStation games anymore. Robots are cops.
Droids are cops.
But seriously, we looked up when the first update was ever for
2003,
and it was for Unreal Tournament on the Xbox, which is really cool. And press sites actually covered it, like, this game is getting a patch.
The first console game to get a patch.
Because PC games, of course, had been getting patches before that, and that was like a big deal. And I remember Nintendo at the time was like, "We're never doing that." And then throughout the Wii era, they didn't do it, and they had broken games sometimes. It's really funny to think that. But what I was going to say though is that those games, even going back to that era, you would never be able to get that patch now. Even that first.
It was really reading that story. So, I'm sure it was written up all over. We were reading on Geek.com, like, game console is getting a patch, and then all the comments were was really amazing at how good a bead they had on it. Some people are like, they're going to be releasing unfinished games. Like, it's going to give them a license to but then other people were like, no, it's a good thing. It's going to allow the life of games to be extended and fix up issues. And I'm like, for comments in 2003, I'm like, they kind of had it spot on, the good and the bad of what this would enable developers to do.
Yeah. But thinking about what it's going to be like in the future, trying to play games like that, two ideas come to mind. First of all, pretty much everything gets a re-release now, right? Even like obscure 16-bit era games like Out of This World and Flashback got nice new releases now.
That's true. Or even stuff we didn't think could come back, like
Lion King and Aladdin are back. So it's like,
that's nice that things get re-releases, and then also contemporary games get those editions where it's like all in one, where it's like all the DLC is on this one disc now, and I really like those. Like that's a really good archival thing because it has the DLC and stuff, and it's just like you can just play it all in one place.
Yeah.
I wish that would just be the end result of every game, but
what
it's
about
not going to be.
What about the right to see or experience the unpatched version of the game? You can't play Peter Dinklage Destiny. Doesn't exist.
You can't play
that's
PT.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are interesting.
Can't play. Well, points. They solved this with World of Warcraft, but for a long time, it's like, WoW, like with Cataclysm, they redid the game and you couldn't experience old classic World of Warcraft.
Yeah. But I wonder will emulation be able to help with this? I don't know the answer to that. It's like, right now you can really easily emulate everything up to like PS1 era, and 64 games are still difficult to emulate. So I would imagine like 15 years from now, you're just going to be able to, will your RetroPie have PS3 games on it? You'll just be able to emulate
that's actually
those?
a heartening way to look at it, because when you are looking at the oldest things emulated, arcade MAME emulators, they have all the versions of the ROMs for those boards and stuff. And it's like, there's all these, there's multiple versions of Donkey Kong. There's like a 4-stack board and a 2-stack board. Like those are all emulated. So yeah, that's a good point.
But people have to dump the ROMs. I don't even know. Like, our games today, do modern games have ROM images? I don't even know.
They're on PC.
I mean, they're emulating Switch games. Like, we don't condone, please buy your games. Developers work hard on them. But this is not something relegated to like crazy old games. No.
Anyway, I don't know what it means for emulation. Like, if they have a patched James Bond PS3 game today, can they get that ROM image? Can they dump it, and do they distribute online? I don't know. Yeah,
I guess I'm glad you put your PS3 game into your console and then it was patched up and playable. Yeah. Like, that's a really good reader service. I'm a little surprised. Like, what business case could there possibly be to keeping that server online?
There's nothing.
Yeah.
Games are all going to disappear.
Let's move on.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is going to last about 15 seconds. Some really chunky bass sounds in it. This is Jackal on the NES, by the way. It's the intro.
What are those sounds?
What are those sounds, Sam?
Is that a bird?
Probably some sort of it's Jackal is a game where you drive like an ATV.
No, it's a Jeep. It's an army Jeep. And it's 2-player at once. And the greatest thing is that at the end of every level, it has all the men standing around the Jeep, and they have a map out, and they're saying, "Here?" There's just one cutscene for every level where they're trying to figure out where to go.
I like that bass line, though.
Here?
I like it, too. This is Abel from Portugal. First of all, love the show. Game Spook was the first episode I've seen on YouTube. I'm a usual podcast listener. It was fun adding faces to the voices. I can't believe Mark Medina's hair is blue. My first console was a Sega Mega Drive with Sonic the Hedgehog. I've been an avid gamer since. My question is regarding game music. Ever since you started playing retro game music in the transitions of your segments, I've been more and more eager to play the games from which the music plays on your show. I've only recently started paying attention to the music in games, although every time a song plays like Green Hill Zone or older Final Fantasy battle songs, I 100% recognize it. When did music become an important part of your game experience? Do you play every game with the music on?
Good question. I've been debating lately whether like this 8-bit music all slaps so hard. And I'm like, is it just my nostalgia or is it actually like bomb ass music? And
I don't, Tina, do you think it's bomb ass music?
Some of them.
Some of them, okay.
Okay.
So a little bit of column A. I always play games with music on, and I even liked the music as a kid. In my NES games, I would get out my tape recorder and put it up to the TV speaker and record the music in games like Wizards and Warriors.
Whoa,
That's
so
really
I could listen
sweet.
to it
That's
away
really cool.
from when I wasn't playing. And then when I got my first guitar at 15, one of the first things I did was like learn how to play Mega Man melodies on it. So I've always been into the music.
I always like turned off the music at a certain, like there was a, like I remember when I was a kid and like Sonic 2 and 3 came out, I was like listening to the radio or music wherever we were playing for whatever reason. And then that carried through like right until games had dialogue. And then I was like, okay, well I got to listen to these games now. I don't know. I always liked listening to other music and now I'd never do that.
Yeah, it depends on the game. I think like if the music is pretty repetitive and it's not changing, like Dungeon to Dungeon or something, then
Like what?
Dungeon to Dungeon. I was thinking like Link's Awakening, where there's just a lot of like you're in one area, here's what the music is, and you kind of get the point, and you're back in that area for a 20th time. But if I go somewhere where it's significant or there's a cutscene, I'll certainly turn the volume back up because I like to multitask and listen to music or watch some of our videos to catch up on our content because man, we post a lot, so on and so forth. But I guess I would say for the other parts of that question, I would say music has been significant to me when it's telling about like, oh, like the intensity of the music is indicating that there's going to be a boss fight, or like water level music is always really specific. It seems like it has a certain melody that most of them do. So it's kind of a reminiscent of things that have been difficult in water level. So I like that. It's like little cues, little story or environment cues.
I feel like we have like an obligation to listen to sound now as critics. So that's another reason why I don't just always turn it off. I want to get like a sense for like what it is. And like in general, I don't at all now, but I just realized one contradiction was like Death Stranding doesn't really have ambient music. It has like a little bit of it. And I actually just read an article about that, which is interesting, but that was a game where like I was doing such tedious things that I enjoyed doing, like running things back and forth a lot. Which is people will tell you is the whole game, but it's not. But I was doing this as a side quest, and I was definitely listening to music, and I even listened to like NPR and podcasts and stuff during some of that. But I had to do it. I was compelled to do it. By my brain.
I don't multitask when I play a game. I'm focused wholly on the game. You know, all the music, all the visuals. I'm not checking my phone. I'm actually the same when we're watching TV shows or watching movies. I don't know if that's like something about. I don't like to do it. You know, my phone is put away whenever
I got my phone there for cutscenes.
Nah, see, I'm always focused. I'm always focused on whatever piece of media is in front of me.
The respawn loading times are kind of long in Jedi Fallen Order. So yeah,
Unless you fall off a cliff and you're just like right back on the top.
Well, but
then those are nice
that's a little bit different. It's not reloading.
It's been really interesting. You know, the older I get to see video game music, like it felt like this, you know, sort of nerdy thing. And gaming used to be a little bit of a nerdy hobby, and now it's not. And now we see that my generation are now adults and are music producers, and you know, are now kind of running a lot of things and seeing, you know, 8-bit blips and bloops, and a lot of that sound and a lot of that culture seep into the radio, and it's all over, and it's in like top 10 music. And I wonder, like, you know, people like I have a lot of sisters that don't play games. I'm like, are they even aware that like a lot of this stuff owes its roots to like, you know, chiptune stuff? You know, it's everywhere now, and it's really gratifying and cool in my opinion.
I guess not music, but for sound design, there's little elements like, you know, if you see the exclamation point in Metal Gear, like you just hear it immediately. So that kind of association is really cool too.
Oh yeah,
just burned in your brain.
The Zelda secret jingle.
Yeah, for sure.
I like how they play on that in every game. In the last Zelda game, we talked about this when we had our Zelda conversation, but like a lot of that music was like a single string quartet, and it was so pretty. It was like you can do NES or Game Boy songs with about 3 or 4 instruments, right?
Yeah.
So those include drums in the NES, but those also have a pitch. So that works so perfectly to orchestrate that way. So I like that games can like put on like full audio and like really play with it now. Remember when Banjo-Kazooie did that, where like changed from place to place, like changed the instrumentation?
It's amazing.
There's a PS4 theme that's like Final Fantasy, moving through the menus, just the little ding.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where did
so when you swipe around,
I saw that recently. That's so cool.
it's really cute.
I like those themes.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
That's Jackal. That's the here screen.
Here.
Yeah.
This is Kev from Sheffield. What the hell is up with Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD?
He's asking the real questions.
Now, I'm mature enough to know that a huge part of my disappointment with this game is self-inflicted. I should have read up on it. However, why would anyone want a monkey ball game that doesn't have monkey bowling, monkey golf, or billiards, and has an inferior version of Monkey Target? I picked the game up presuming it would have these, as these were some of the best bits of the original, and I wanted to play with my little girl on the Switch, as despite not quite being 3, she loves playing and seeing the minigames on GameCube.
Wow.
The single player seems fine, however, I have already decided this is going on eBay, as I want to get as much money back as possible. Anyway, what are the sequels or games in this series that were most disappointing to you?
Man, I thought this was just a letter written to Justin for a second there.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of tweets about Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD.
Pear was playing it.
I have mixed feelings about it because, Monkey Ball was dead, right? So I'm pleased to see this franchise that I love so much come back from the dead, and get another chance at life. But I do not trust any Monkey Ball game that has a jump button.
Wow. Oh, interesting.
I don't trust
a jump
any
button?
What?
They added a jump button, or was this just always in this one?
Yeah, it was.
This was like the 7th one.
This was the Wii one that had a waggle, like you could waggle the controller up to jump, and now it's just a button. But
Damon, what game do you not trust with a jump button?
Zelda's up there.
Zelda, but the
trust
best
it.
Zelda game
Trust it now.
has a jump button. Bionic Commando.
Bionic Commando. That's right. And I was going to say, that's one of the most disappointing sequels ever made.
That's true. Bionic Commando Rearmed 2.
Yeah, because it should have, Bionic
added
Commando
the jump
Rearmed, I
button.
think, was the best game of that era.
What's the actual disappointing sequels?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a list.
Wow.
And I had this
Tina
before the
usually comes with a
show.
list.
That's true. I have a list also.
Aha.
No, I definitely wanted to bring up the Wii era. Everything that got a sequel on Wii for the most part was really bad.
Metroid Prime 3?
Yeah, Metroid Prime 3 was so disappointing because Metroid Prime was the most beautiful, amazing cutting edge game. And
Yeah,
then
it
the
really
Wii was
was.
just like, no, we're going to knock this back to, before that even in its graphics. It was so disappointing. And then that happened with other games on the Wii also.
Or Other M.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, that's a good example. But I was going to say all the Zeldas on Wii. I know like a lot of people like Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess, but those games suck compared to Breath of the Wild. They're just terrible.
Yeah, they really.
And they were disappointing after Ocarina of Time was like a really good game, and they didn't do a good job.
After Wind Waker.
After Wind Waker too, I love Wind Waker.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Tina?
So topically, I did not play Battlefront 2, but given the structure of that game and how disappointing it was and what a disaster it was, that seems like a pretty good, solid answer to this question.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that forth.
Okay.
Everybody knows my feelings on Dead Space 3, I feel.
Yeah,
at
that's
this
another
point.
one. Yeah. Thought about that one for sure.
Does Andromeda count
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have
as
that
like a
too.
sequel? Yeah.
I mean, even Mass
It
Effect
killed
3
the
for some people.
franchise.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So that's like a pretty bad sequel to end the
No
series.
kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a mean one
Uh-oh.
that people don't agree with me on, but I'm very passionate about the Arkham series. I think nothing has been even close to being a good game after Arkham Asylum. I think Arkham City's just bad, and I think they only got worse from there. But I love Arkham Asylum.
I love Arkham Asylum too. I also enjoyed City and Night, but Asylum's my favorite by a long shot.
I like City more, and I feel like that used to be more of a split debate, right? Like you were either on Team Asylum or Team
I
City.
think it still is. There's lots of City fans.
But I feel like Asylum is kind of like, the consensus has now sort of rallied around that, in my opinion. I don't feel like you hear as many City supporters anymore.
There's more games like City now, so I think
that's a
that
good
it
point.
became less unique, and then there's nothing like Asylum still. It's like Metroid Prime, Jedi Fallen Order, and this.
I did not prep anything for this show in advance, but in thinking about it, a lot of sequels struggled in the transition from 2D to 3D. So you saw a lot of weird, disappointing stuff in that PS1, PS2, and 64 era. Castlevania 64,
Castlevania.
just all kinds of weird stuff like that.
Every Mega Man after 3.
Yeah, the Mega Man Legends.
4, 5, and 6 are perfectly fine.
What about everything after that even?
Yeah, well, then you start getting a little.
And then there are exceptions, like Zelda and Mario obviously transitioned to 3D really gracefully and successfully, but they're the exception, not the rule.
That's true.
With the 3D Rayman games.
Although Capcom did announce recently that Mega Man 11 sold over 1 million copies, which is surprising to me.
That's That is a lot.
That's good. 64 games. Shadowgate 64 was an incredible disappointment to me because Shadowgate on NES is one of my favorite games of all time. It's like so colorful and weird and quirky and fun. And there's all these different creatures that you're constantly encountering. And then Shadowgate 64 is a 3D game that's ugly as sin. And you just wander around a vacant, empty castle where nothing ever happens. It sucked. All right, that it?
Yeah.
Couple more questions. Oh, I like this music. This is the overworld music from Jaws.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I owned this game when I was a kid.
I did too. Could not figure it out.
Me neither.
This is Rob from Detroit. Says Justin warned us that he is Black Friday Justin.
Yeah.
He also mentioned something about evenings. What does that mean? Does Black Friday make him nervous? Does he have some second retail night job? The public needs to know.
Kinda.
No, I
A
oversee.
second retail night job. I like that take. Let's go.
Oh, Black Friday.
Gotta go open up a GameStop. I'm the night manager. San Francisco's so expensive, y'all.
Yeah.
No, I run IGN's commerce content and deal content. And so on Black Friday, Seth Macy and Eric Song and Chris Reed and myself are working really, really hard to look at Walmart and Amazon and Target and all the other retailers and sort of compile on IGN.com all the best deals and who's got the best prices. And, there's no shortcut or way around that except like put in the time and be online and working. So, yeah. It's, it's not that different than E3 in that it's equal parts excitement and dread. Like, it's a lot of work. It's also a lot of fun. And, we like to win and be first and, service our readers with the latest. Yeah.
Q4 Justin.
It's really like, I know this was intended to be a very quick question.
And Q4 sounds for quarter four
the last
the year.
The last thing I'll add is like, before I had this job I had now, like, oh, Black Friday, like everything's really cheap, right? But like now.
And I ran it.
And
Yeah,
the
because
wiki
wiki
stuff.
thing. Yeah.
That's 100% true. You know what my
Black
hack
Friday
was?
stand.
I only hired Canadian freelancers.
Yeah, we have one.
Because they don't celebrate
oh.
Thanksgiving.
There you
so
go.
they would just work right through that time, which was really convenient.
Now that I live and breathe it and I'm paying attention very, very closely to what's happening when, it's very fascinating to see like everybody will have a game for like $35 and then one retailer has it for 25 and then an hour later all the other ones have it for 25. So they're all just like, it's this big standoff where they're all watching each other and it's always Target's the cheapest and then Walmart and Amazon have to match Target.
Interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of Black Friday.
Yeah, it's really, they're all like, it's like that sort of gamesmanship from like a corporate level is just fascinating to me.
I would have guessed that like Walmart or Amazon could.
Same.
But they do sometimes, and then some price match and some don't. And like sometimes I think one retailer makes something super cheap just to put the screws to another one.
Great.
All right, one more question.
Warfare.
This is Willem in Los Angeles, says, greetings, Omega Cops. I'm a very long-time listener, but first-time writer. After hundreds of episodes, I just had to write in and ask the question. I'm sure it's on everyone's minds. What does Sam's mind palace look like? He enters it nearly every episode, yet we've never gotten a description from him of his mind crib. Maybe he can give us a walkthrough.
I explained this before, I think. If you Google actually looked into my Mind Palace and used it to make their little strips of games when you search like every NES game box art and then it brings it up and you can like go to the right. That's what it looks like.
I actually just imagine it being like in a really old timey library, but it's just cartridges stacked up high, and you're just like rifling through piles.
That's basically it, and they're just like magically whipping in front of me. Because I'm not. This is not a real thing, kind of, but I'm like a very visual memory person. So like if I can think, like that's why I was asking about the skeletons in the box art for the Uninvited. Like I've seen that game, and I know what it is. I just have to visually like match the box art to the name. And so like I've seen every single NES game a lot. And so like if I can like kind of like look at the wall of cartridges either on their spines, then I know like the company and the make and the year and stuff like that. I can like put that all together, but I need to be able to see it a little bit first. I know that makes no sense. I'm sorry.
No, I think it does.
makes
No, that
sense.
totally makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Tina and I have said before that we have an affliction where like I know a lot about video games. It's my career. I've been playing them my whole life. It's my primary hobby. But when I'm prompted with a specific question, like what game next year are you looking forward to? I forget every video
It's
game.
like deer in headlights.
Yeah, they're like,
what?
if they're like name a video game, I'm like, I can't.
What?
I can't do it. I need to see, and then if I see a list, I'm like, oh yeah, these 15 games. Like, but then I
You do pretty well at 20 questions, though.
Yeah.
It's true.
Speaking of,
Oh,
Ooh,
that brings us to video game 20
Ooh,
questions.
I like this.
Yeah.
This is underwater music, Tina?
yeah, it does seem it.
Except it's not.
Aw.
This is level 0 on the Philips CDI version of Tetris.
It could be underwater.
It could be.
It needs a
underwater.
couple more like sparkly tunes to it, just here and there.
This is so smooth.
First, this is definitely an underwater level.
Yeah.
I'm not even like taking this as an argument.
Mario 64.
Underwater Tetris? Wetris. Maybe that's what Wetris is. We had a question about
I like
Wetris
it.
recently. Our suggestion this week comes from Evan Jarecki in Atlanta, Georgia. Let the questioning begin.
Is this a spooky game?
It's not October anymore.
That's fine.
What if it is? What if it's a
Look,
spooky
see,
game?
he would have said yes immediately.
Is it a spooky game? Yeah, it definitely has spooky elements to it.
Maybe it's a survival game.
Yeah.
Well, like a DayZ, which is not spooky, but is
Could be Minecraft.
It could be Minecraft.
Does this game have a winter level?
Absolutely not.
Wow, a resounding no.
Journey?
Could be Journey.
That has a winter level.
No,
What?
it's all deserty. Oh no, you're at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, do you get
Duh.
up high on the
Yeah,
mountain?
yeah.
I can't believe I didn't think about that.
I was like, what?
Well, I don't remember every level in Journey. I just remember the desert for a long
Doing
time.
headlines.
Yeah, exactly.
And you leave your little buddy behind, Bong Ripper 420 that you've been journeying with for 2 hours. You just leave him back there.
Plus, that game could be spooky because that could be a ghost playing with you.
That's why Damon had to think about it so hard.
That's what you had to think about.
Is it Journey?
Is it Journey?
But he said no. He said emphatic no.
That's true. He did. Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Is this game like 2D? Is it a 2D game? God damn it. Does it? Is your character do you? I don't even know how
What's the problem
Ask
with
the
asking
date
if it's
question.
a 2D game? Because you don't know what 2D means?
Sam, I know what 2D means. I'm trying to think if this is a 2D game.
Oh, okay. Why don't you just... We're going to ask the question then. Great.
Because I know Damon doesn't like it.
Yeah, it's the running joke.
It does trip me up. This game, man, I don't know. I
right,
abstain.
all right.
I refuse to answer the question.
Did this game release? Is this a 16-bit game?
No.
Oh, man. I'm losing it. That was so great.
Is this a platform exclusive?
No.
Multiplat, guys, multiplat.
All right. Is this from before 2000?
No. That's 5.
Okay.
Did this game release on a retail disc or like could you buy it in a store?
I don't think so.
Yeah, digital game.
Is this available on Steam?
Yes.
Is there multiplayer?
No.
You don't know if it's 2D?
That's why. No, but the
really
reason
strange to
the
me.
reason I asked if it was a retail game is because I'm picturing something like a Castle Crashers or something that has a 3D plane that you can sort of
Or
walk
isometric?
through. Yeah, but
Bastion?
it's still like
Top
something.
down?
Yeah,
Binding of Isaac or something?
yeah, exactly.
Is it an indie game?
Yes.
Nice. Is it top down?
No. That's 10.
Is it a side scroller?
It does. The action scrolls from side to side. Yes. Oh no. Yeah.
But it's not multiplayer. It's single player only. It's not Enter the Gungeon.
Is it on current gen?
Yes.
Is it a Metroidvania?
No. I don't think so.
I feel like it would be useless to ask if it's part of a series. If it's an indie game, because maybe not.
Yeah. Ooh,
No, I would ask that.
we have what seven questions left. So Steam, a game that was also either on or ported to current gen consoles. Indie. No winter level at all.
No multiplayer.
It's got some spooky parts to it.
It's scrolly.
Without being a Metroidvania, I mean, I think that's
Well, I
kind of
figured the
interesting.
scrolly thing is like you can go backwards, maybe.
That's what I thought.
That's
That's
what
why
he
the
was-
Metroidvania thing, I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
You know, but it can also just be a linear game that you can go forward and backwards.
Should we go art style?
Yeah, that was I was going to say. I was going to say, is it artsy? Do you think he'll answer that?
Oh, that's hard. That's like eye of the beholder.
Yeah. Would you answer that question?
You want? Is it artsy?
Yeah.
He wants before
can
you
you
ask
define
it,
artsy?
What
he
if
wants
it's
to
Mark
know
of the
if-
Ninja?
If
Yeah.
you want
Because he loves that game.
I was thinking Limbo or something. I think
I
that's
thought
artsy.
that, but that's spooky for sure.
and also Limbo's
I
clearly
thought
artsy.
Yeah, but we didn't ask the question.
I don't know. I don't know if Damon thinks it. Okay.
Is this a critics game or a people's game?
Yeah, exactly. Was this critically acclaimed?
For the most part, yeah.
Ooh, for the most part,
We're not getting this one.
I don't know.
It didn't get any 9s. Okay.
Mention all the indie games you've ever heard of, and we'll see if the hack works.
Braid.
Go.
Yeah,
This is
but
what
then,
you guys are
but
good
then,
at. Speaking extemporaneously with lists of games. right?
All right. Go to your mind palace.
It could
For
be,
Steam, it's just going to be this big, white
list
Just like
out.
scab.
of gray
names, yeah.
all the way down, starting with the A's. I'll be like, Glenn.
Explosion Man.
I guess we could ask if you play as a human.
Do you play as a human? Yes.
Still could be Mark
That
of
is
the Ninja.
15.
Jesus.
That's Jaws.
That's Jaws.
Loud Jaws.
Yeah, it's very loud.
Oh, it's not loud
very
to me.
intimidating.
Sorry, it's not loud to me. Sorry, that's loud to everyone.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think it's Mark of the Ninja though, because there's no way to interpret that except being 2D.
Yeah, but we didn't ask the question
Yeah, Damon was a little ambiguous about it.
because he wasn't made to answer.
Because I don't know how to answer that question.
Do you think
for this
Mega
game.
Man 2 is 3D or
No.
2D?
No,
2D?
sorry, I didn't mean 2D. I meant like he said it's side scrolly. He's like, oh, it's kind of side scrolly.
The action
Mark of the Ninja
scrolls
is totally.
from-
It's
Side to
side scrolling.
side.
Yeah, you're right. So it's not Fez. We know that.
Man, how good was
Wait,
Fez?
could it be Fez?
Could be Fez.
It's not. I mean, it's kind of like
We've
not
had
just
Fez
side
before, first of
scrolling.
all. So.
Oh, then
But
it probably
no,
wouldn't be.
he never checks. That is no bearing.
If only I still.
Well, that
asked
would be
if
an
your character
interesting
was
because
at.
it wasn't necessarily critically acclaimed.
Do you solve puzzles
No,
in this game?
no, because you're human. Fez
You're
is
not
not.
a, what?
Yeah, you play as a human, not in Fez. In
his
this game.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna say. In Fez, you're definitely a little.
that's what I'm saying.
You're a little monster boy.
Exactly.
I don't know what you
well,
are.
you're not a monster boy. All right, let's let
It's kind of a little.
Is it okay to ask if you solve puzzles? Not even for Fez. Like I was
I mean,
thinking,
yeah,
like
I
Braid is a
guess.
game that has
Yeah.
like puzzles to solve.
Oh, yeah, go for
Mark
it.
of the Ninja.
Yeah.
And stuff. Or I mean, N plus.
Are there puzzles?
Are there puzzles? I think so.
So it's
Pretty
not
sure.
based on it.
We get it. We lose a question when you say I think so.
What do you mean? You don't lose the question?
You
we
just
do.
put your thumb up.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we get
I'm
that?
pretty
Can we
sure
get that one?
You
back?
didn't answer
Put
the
it back down.
question.
Yes, I did. Pretty sure.
We can
there
get a
are
yes or no.
puzzles.
Wow.
Great.
Do you have weapons?
No.
Okay, so it has to be. Wait, it's a maybe puzzle game. So what?
Well, I didn't say it was a puzzle game.
I said maybe puzzle.
But hold on.
No, I said I think you so.
If
So
you
there are some
think-
puzzle elements.
if you-
Maybe you're just driving around or flying around.
But if you think you solve puzzles, but there's no weapons, what are you doing in this game?
What are you doing in this game?
I don't know what you're doing in this game.
Exploring, like, is
Maybe
it just a
it's-
narrative story?
Maybe
Is
it's
it like-
unusual.
Is it like oxen free or something?
Maybe
That's
what
a
you
good-
maybe what you do in this game is unusual for a video game.
You're just talking to people. You're just walking.
It's not
around.
mist. It's not.
Do you think it's like flour or something?
Yeah, something like
That's not.
No, you
spooky,
play
though.
as a human.
I think it's
What?
Limbo.
What?
What's-
No, because that has spooky elements, and he said no.
No, he said it. He said it's spooky.
Yeah, spooky elements.
It could just be like a
You're not
walking.
This game isn't going to scare anybody, but the setting.
Is it black and white?
It could.
No, the game is not black.
It
and
could
white.
be
It's not
V V
Limbo.
V V V V.
That's so obscure. I don't think it would be that.
We only have 2 more left.
I reviewed that.
Game's
Wow.
great.
I've never played it.
Have we mentioned the name of this game yet?
You would like it.
Have you mentioned the name of this game yet? No. No, you haven't.
Maybe we should have gone like developer or something too.
I mean, it's
know-
hard with indie.
If it's a game where you're doing something unusual, like atypical for a video game, it's almost certain that I have played it.
You guys didn't
Okay,
really,
side
you guys-
scrolly.
You never really honed
kind
in
of
on the
spooky.
current gen. You knew it was on current gen
Yeah.
platforms, but you were talking about a lot of last gen games like
Oh, shoot,
Fez
we
and
were.
Explosion
We
Man
were, we
and
were.
Limbo and all that stuff.
But I figured it could be one of those things where it's like also downloadable on current
Yeah.
gen.
This was released on.
Like Mark of the Ninja.
Okay, so it was.
The follow-up question would have been, did it make its debut on current gen? Which
Right.
we screwed up.
I feel like we should know this because
Yeah.
it'll be narrative based.
Damon's
or,
Damon's really
Is it
trying.
Untitled Goose Game?
No, that's not side scrolling.
It is.
Not really. You walk up and down and all around.
It's spooky AF.
It's, and that's true. It has no spooky elements.
No, the goose is terrifying.
But you are the goose.
He's a menace.
You're
He's
the
not-
you're the
Yeah.
man.
Well, then the gardener's terrifying.
a little bit actually. Comes running.
I'll
I'm
give
like,
you
"Shoot,
one final hint.
please.
There is definitely not a winter level because where this game takes place,
Oh.
there would never ever
That was a
be
good
a
hint.
winter level.
That was such a good hint. I mean, is
So it's the desert. I mean that does sound like Journey, but that's multiplayer.
It's a
it's
a
not spooky.
jungle game.
jungle or desert
Yeah.
or
Lava.
hell?
Or
Volcano.
beach.
Maybe it's the after party.
You play as a human. You don't have weapons, right? That was what that was.
Sure, let's go for it.
I don't know. I feel bad about it.
No, you do it.
Is it after party?
Yeah.
What? I thought that was not going to be the case.
With a big assist, it is After Party.
Wow, I did say Oxenfree.
I was gonna say I think we just say the name of the game.
That's so cool.
I know. Yeah,
I didn't
started
hear you
playing
guys say
it.
After Party
Well, we
until
may-
just
I said
now.
Afterparty.
We did say Oxenfree.
I mean, no, I
Just
didn't say
Oxenfree.
Afterparty. We said Oxenfree. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Yeah, you don't shoot weapons.
Skin of our teeth.
And you do a lot of drinking. I assume you solve puzzles at some point in this adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's considered 2D or not.
What is it, Tina?
I don't know. It's like
you.
3D.
No, never say I don't know
you.
after Damon does.
I mean,
you.
genuinely though, because they're like, I think they're 3D models, but
Cel-shaded.
they're in a like
I don't
2D
know.
environment. But the characters are So
It's meant to look cartoony though, right?
Definitely cartoony.
Yeah,
But it's just not. Okay.
How would you have answered the? Is it what was it? Artsy? How would you have answered that?
Is it artsy? That's totally subjective.
Yeah, exactly.
I
That's
think
what I was
def
thinking.
artsy. I think the idea
I would
there is
say,
that
yeah.
it's not. It's like a designy game instead of a realistic game.
I completely
Okay,
agree.
so is Borderlands artsy?
No. Borderlands is the exact opposite of artsy.
That's what I'm saying because the cell
that's so weird
shadedness
to me.
can't be
It's broy.
Yeah.
right.
The opposite
that's
of artsy.
totally
But both of
subjective.
them are cell shaded.
Yeah.
Is what you're
No,
saying?
artsy
So,
is
like-
not about the art style.
like,
It's about the foot it
compared
puts
to
forward.
Yes.
compared to Call of Duty, Borderlands 3 is artsy.
But what if Call of Duty were cell shaded?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's
Too artsy.
It's like
Too
look,
artsy.
like Jedi Fallen Order, strong game of the year candidate, not artsy. Like it's mass market AAA.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but that's why I asked you, what do you mean by artsy? If you mean
Untitled Goose Game.
is this
Artsy.
game not mass market, not a AAA game, not
Yeah.
meant for a wide audience,
I guess I
that
would-
starts to make more sense.
I would say like non-realistic graphics, like not aiming for the realistic graphics thing.
Is Call of Duty even
I
art?
guess all video games are art.
What a thing to get into
How
right
dare
at the
you.
end of the show here.
Anyway, thank you for the suggestion. That was from Evan Jarecki in Atlanta, Georgia.
Don't at me, Evan.
You don't get to add Sam. That is all the scoops we have for this week. Hopefully everybody can check out Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order this weekend. I think it's a really good video game.
What are we going to call it? Jedi Foe?
Jedi. Star Wars Jedi.
We've been just
Fallen Order
saying
2.
Jedi.
Just
Jedi.
Jedi.
Yeah,
No, there's no way to
Internally.
confuse that with anything else.
yeah, definitely not. Play that Jedi game.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's good.
That's it.
Is it going to be, so what do we think? So like how the Batman games are all Arkham something.
yeah.
Is this going to be like Fallen something else? Or is it going to be Fallen Order 2? Or is it going to be something else Order?
Yeah.
Revival
Jedi.
of the Order.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
un-
Rise of the
Unfallen.
Order.
Rise of the Order.
Shadow of the Order.
Yeah. Or like, there was a Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
What's going to be their word? Is it Order or is it Fallen?
Well, it can't be Jedi.
Yeah.
That'd be silly, right?
It's definitely Jedi.
It's going to be Jedi. It's
gotta be Jedi.
It's going to be Jedi.
You don't want to play as someone who's not a Jedi.
Yeah.
Jedi : insert order.
Yeah, maybe it's a different order.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Risen order.
Yep.
It's a little scary. Is that a spooky game?
Which one? After Party?
No, Jedi Fallen Order.
No, not a spooky.
Because you cut rats in half.
Yeah.
Wait, so After Party is
their
a spooky
brains
game?
just
I mean, it's set in
falling
hell
aside.
with demons.
Yeah,
so
but
that's why I
they're all
said-
goofy and they're like, hey,
that's
what's
why I
up,
said
bro?
I think
this
the
game
game's
is
a
not
comedy.
going to
Yeah.
scare you, but there
Yeah.
are spooky elements.
Okay.
I think the concept
to
of
know.
hell is meant to scare people.
Kind of the whole point. All right, that is all the scoops we have for this week. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sam. Thank you,
you.
Tina. Remember, you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com. My name is Damon. This is IGN Gamescoop, and we're out.